couple of days ago, my mother-in-law decided to host a party at her house to celebrate her birthday, so naturally, a lot of people were invited because she really likes to do it up on her birthdays. In the beginning, I honestly did not feel like going because I've just given birth a couple of months ago and I like to spend the time I have at home with my daughter. So whenever I'm not at work, I prefer to stay at home, but my husband told me that it would be good for me to catch a break. So I decided to leave my daughter with my parents and we went to the party, and honestly, I just wished that I had stayed home. I really had the worst time of my life, and that's saying something. My mother-in-law, let's call her Sally, has never been my biggest fan, but she's always been civil to me. I don't know what happened at the party though. She totally lost it after everyone had left. Anyway, what had happened during the party, I think everybody who was present picked up on the fact that my husband was being hit on, quite shamelessly and unabashedly, by Sally's best friend's daughter. Sally has been friends with this particular woman for ages, pretty much since they were in college, and her daughter is also very close to the family. Nina, let's call her that, because of her mother's closeness with Sally, was close with my husband as well while they were growing up, but then she decided to go to college out of state, and since then they drifted apart. After that, my husband met me when we started working, and we dated for a couple of years and we got married. All throughout, Nina and I have never really spoken much because after she had moved away, she had stayed away. So she didn't really attend our wedding or any other things, and we would only meet once in a blue moon. And all these years that my husband and I have been together. However, recently I learned from Sally that she had moved back to be closer to her mother, so she had been trying to make an effort to hang out with my husband more often so that they could reconcile and get back their old friendship. And if that was it, I would never have a problem with it because I trust my husband. And I know that he loves me and I love him, and that's enough for both of us. I'm not insecure. But at the party itself, I don't know what was going on with Nina, but she was acting really weird. She was consistently hitting on my husband, trying to flirt with him, and she was not even being subtle about it. She kept bringing up how both their mothers had believed that they were going to grow up and get married. She kept laughing about it as if it was very funny or whatever. But I was sitting right there and I personally did not find anything funny about it. And I was just waiting for the party to be over so I could go back home. It was visible that even my husband was very uncomfortable. He kept trying to take the conversation to safer topics, but Nina was not having it. And by the end of the party, everybody around us was really awkward. Nobody was talking to Nina. Obviously, nobody wanted to bring it up and call her out on it because both my husband and I are very non-confrontational and we did not want to ruin Sally's party, so we just kept quiet. However, right as we were about to leave, Sally asked us to stay back because she wanted to talk to both of us, so we did. And we thought that we were going to receive an apology or something for Nina's behavior, or at least an explanation, but instead, Sally started blaming me for everything that has been happening throughout the evening. And she apparently seems to think that all of this is happening because I have let myself go. Yeah, I don't even know what that is supposed to mean. Because I think I'm in perfect shape for somebody who has just given birth a couple of months ago. It's not a secret to anyone who knows me that I've always had a tendency to gain weight. And in fact, I've always been on the chubbier side. And I personally don't have a problem with it because I do work out and according to my doctor, I'm healthy. So how does that matter if I'm chubby or lean or whatever? What actually matters is if I'm healthy or not. And as long as that's all right, I don't have a problem with the shape of my body. And I don't think it's anybody else's concern either. So when she said that I have let myself go, I was really infuriated. I was already in a bad mood because of everything that had been happening with Nina, and then Sally had the audacity to blame me for all of it. as if I was the one who had convinced Nina to hit on my husband. And I'm not even joking. Sally made it very clear that she thinks the reason I've gained weight is because I don't care about my body or how I'm perceived by other people. And it's embarrassing. And finally, I had an answer as to why she never liked me much. According to her, I'm too big and I'm too loud and I'm not very ladylike, and there's so much wrong with me that if it had been up to her, she really would have picked Nina over me. But in spite of everything, she has always tried to put up with me, and yet I haven't ever taken that into consideration. And even after giving birth, I have remained fat and have made no effort to get rid of my weight. She told me that my body and my behavior is the reason that women think that I can be stepped over and that they can just get with my husband. And not only am I ruining my own reputation and image, I'm also affecting my husband's perception in public. And that needs to change. So basically, she thought that Nina was acting that way because I had been the kind of person who makes it seem like it's okay to step over me and treat me like a doormat. And why? Only because I'm slightly chubby. And I tend to be a little easygoing. Not like her, who's always stern and acts like a school teacher. Anyway, I was obviously upset by all this, and I was defending myself and I was fighting with her. But that was nothing compared to how my husband totally flipped out at her after she said all of this to me. He was yelling at her and they got into a shouting match, and I was the one trying to get him to leave with me. But he was not having it. He was very upset with his mother. And by the time we stormed out, both of them were in such foul moods that I didn't even say anything to him on the drive back home, or even when we got back home. But yeah, anyway, after we got back home, he typed a long message to Nina and told her that whatever she had said and done that day was totally out of bounds. She had no right to speak to him like that, knowing that he was a married man, and especially in front of his wife. He said that the only reason he had not said anything publicly was because he didn't want to humiliate her, and also because he didn't want to confront her on his mother's birthday and ruin the party. But at the end of the day, he had to take a stand for himself and his wife, and that's what he was doing. And he told her he did not want to speak to her again, and he would really appreciate it if she left him alone. He basically just told her that he did not want to continue any friendship or relationship with her, and that was that. And then late at night, after he was done sending all of that to Nina, we finally had a discussion about whatever his mom had said. And I told him I was really not comfortable or happy about whatever Sally had said, and I did not want to speak to her without an apology. In fact, even an apology would not be enough. I needed some time and space away because she had totally humiliated me, and I felt awful about the things she had said. So both of us decided that we are going to take some time to think all of this over, and until then, we're going to have absolutely no contact with her. And most importantly, she's not going to be allowed to come into our home, and she's not going to be allowed to meet her granddaughter, because that's the price you pay for insulting and humiliating the woman who gave birth to your granddaughter. If she cannot respect me, and if she cannot respect the body that brought my daughter into this world, then she has no need to meet her. And that's my final word on it. But anyway, after we made that decision, the day after the party, she contacted us and said that she might have said too much. But she wanted to come over in the evening and sort things out with us because she did not want this whole thing to fester and get bad. Let me just mention that in that whole message, not once did she say that she was sorry for everything. She just said that she might have said too much. And that does not sound like much of an apology to me, but anyway. She said that was not a reply to it, but she showed up in the evening anyway. And we, even though we let her in, we made it very clear that we did not have much to say to her. And we only wanted to let her know that for now, we wanted her to keep her distance from us because everything that had happened was way too much to process at once. And we needed some time and space to figure out how we wanted to deal with all of this. She obviously didn't take it very well. She started screaming at us, and thankfully I had had the foresight of dropping off my daughter at my parents' place because I knew something like this was going to happen if she came over. And I didn't want my daughter to be in the house when she was screaming her head off, so I got lucky that way. But anyway, it was a pretty nasty fight. She told me we had no right to keep her granddaughter away from her, and that we were being horrible to her, and that she was only here to talk to us. But if we had decided that we didn't even want to hear her out, then it was pretty telling about how she lacked any sort of significance and importance in our lives. I mean, it was just a bunch of weird, self-important stuff that she said, but I don't know. By the time she was leaving, she seemed pretty upset and she was actually crying, and I've never really seen her like that. I've never seen her break down the way she did and lose control like that. So I know we must have hit a nerve, and my husband thinks that there's no need for us to check up on her or anything, and she'll be fine. But on the other hand, I feel a little meh treating her like this. So AITA for not wanting to have any contact with my mother-in-law after she told me that I had let myself go. Update 1. So just as I expected, instead of letting it go and respecting our opinion, Sally has decided that she's going to rant about it on social media. And she made a whole 4,000-word post ranting about how we treated her. And honestly, I can't even say I'm surprised because this is exactly the kind of thing I expected from her. And now the extended family is involved as well. People are taking sides. There's a lot of drama. And this is the exact thing that I did not want because obviously I do not like this kind of thing. I'm not a very confrontational person. I don't like being part of drama, and yet she's dragged me into this. I don't even understand what is the point of all of this because it's definitely not going to improve her chances of getting back on good terms with us. And if she really wants to stay in her granddaughter's life, then why would she ruin her relationship with us even more? Clearly, her priorities are all messed up because if she really prioritized her relationship with her granddaughter more than her own ego and the need to be correct, then she would not be behaving like this. But well, we can see what's going on now. Anyway, like I said, people are taking sides, which means that I have received a bunch of messages, and so has my husband, from the extended family, telling us that what we're doing is not right. And then we've received other messages as well, telling us that it's good that we're taking a stand for ourselves. Because I think most people did witness what went down at her birthday party between Nina and my husband, even though nobody's really referring to it directly. The fact that Sally did not even try to stop it or do anything about it, that must have irked some people. Anyway, whatever the case is. We never wanted something like this to happen, and now we have to deal with the drama that she has created, which just doesn't even seem fair. It's just ridiculous. For now, we're just trying to lay low and trying to avoid talking to people until this whole thing blows over. But if people keep texting us, then we are going to be left with no other option but to respond to that post. Because I don't want to deal with things like this. We have not done anything wrong, so why should we stay silent? Anyway, let's just see how it pans out now. I have no expectations anymore. Update 2. Hey, so it's been 2 weeks since my previous update, and thankfully we have not had to put out any statement or whatever because that would have been really awkward and we did not want to do that. People just took the hint and stopped texting us about the whole situation with Sally and everything. And I'm really grateful because I did not want to get dragged into it and prolong the situation more than it was necessary. Now we're just not talking with each other. We have blocked her everywhere. and she just doesn't have any access to us. I mean, one more thing, that this is the end, right? Well, wrong. In my original post, I had mentioned that my husband had sent a long message to Nina telling her that her behavior was unacceptable, and after that, we didn't really get a reply from her, so we just forgot about that whole thing altogether. But then, a couple of hours ago, she sent me an email telling me that she was really sorry about everything that happened and she shouldn't have done any of that. But truth be told, she had been feeling extremely lonely for the past couple of months, especially given the fact that she had to give up on her flourishing career and come back home so she could be closer to her mom because she was suffering. And then on top of that, there was also the grief of losing her dad last year. So she had been quite a mess on the emotional front. Besides, when she came back here, she realized that everything had changed, especially her friendship with my husband. So she really wanted that back. And it was actually Sally who had planted that idea in her head, that if she tried hard enough, she would be able to get my husband back. And maybe, who knows? They would even be able to get married. And as long as it was for the greater good, it didn't matter if he was married right now or not. Because she felt like it was meant to be, the two of them in the end, not me. I mean, it was insane. The fact that Sally had tried to take advantage of an emotionally vulnerable person, and of course, it was pretty stupid of Nina to fall for it as well. But I feel bad for her because I can understand that it must have been very difficult for her to make that move and come back here. Anyway, finding out that it was actually Sally who had put her up to all of that, and now the fact that Nina was actually sorry for everything, I mean, it definitely changes things. In the beginning, I might have considered forgiving Sally in the future if she was able to prove that she was really sorry about everything that you had done, but now there's no chance because honestly, I can't even imagine somebody being so hateful and manipulative and cruel. I've told my husband about it already, and even he thinks that she does not deserve a second chance because what she has done is literally insane. First, she manipulated Nina to try and get closer to my husband, and then she made it seem like it was my fault, claiming that I was the one who had let myself go or something like that. I mean, it's just ridiculous and insane, and I don't want her in my life at all. That's for sure now. Update 3. Hey everyone. So it's been a month and a half since my previous update, and a couple of days ago we received a phone call from Sally's next door neighbor. The call was to inform us that Sally had accidentally injured herself by tripping and falling down the stairs, and of course, in spite of everything that has happened so far, my husband and I decided to pay her a visit because that would be the decent thing to do. To be very honest, we did not know how we were going to be received, but even then we went. And we chose not to take our daughter along because we didn't see the point of doing that. We did not want to make it seem like the whole situation was us being emotionally manipulative or something by taking her along, so we left her behind with my parents. And then when we showed up at her place, it was actually her nurse who opened the door because she was unable to walk. And as soon as the nurse showed us in, she started screaming from her room, claiming that there was no reason for us to visit and pretend to be the kind of people who care for others now, because we are clearly not interested in anybody apart from ourselves. And the only reason she had even let the nurse let us in was because she wanted us to hear what she had to say. It was pretty ridiculous, I'm not going to lie. And I was ready to leave, but my husband decided to have a face-to-face conversation with his mother. So he went into her room and she started screaming even louder, saying that she didn't even want to see his face. And then he brought up whatever Nina had told me and said that given everything that has happened and everything that she has put us through, she should feel lucky that we have even come to see her. But if this is the way she's going to treat us, then maybe it's better for her to be on her own. That was when she finally calmed down because she probably didn't have anything to say to us anymore. But yeah, we did our duty and we did it well, so she can't complain that we didn't go to see her. I think that was the most that we could have done, in spite of everything that has happened. We went, and she cannot possibly have any complaints with us at this point. Update 4. So it's been a week since our last visit to her, and this time my husband chose to visit her on his own because clearly she doesn't want me around. And to be very honest, I don't want to be around her either. She's always very negative, and given the fact that she literally tried to break me and my husband up by getting Nina involved, I think it's pretty understandable why I do not want to be around her. Anyway, so he went, and about an hour later he came back. So that was a pretty short visit. I thought he was going to go there and talk some sense into her. But when he came back, I could tell from his face that there was no talking to her anyway. Honestly, I'm not surprised. That's exactly what I had expected. But I obviously didn't say that to him because when he had set out to talk to his mom, he had told me that he was going to try to make her see sense instead of letting her continue behaving like this, like some lunatic. But when he came back, he told me that there was just no talking to her. She had made it very clear that he had disappointed her by marrying somebody like me. And she believed that I did not deserve him and he should have married Nina, or at least somebody who looks like she's a part of our family, which I do not, given my figure and my personality and everything. She also told him that she was really disappointed in him in general as well, not just because of me, but because she felt like he was abandoning everything that her husband valued. He had not even tried to go into the medical field like his father, and instead had chosen to become a businessman. And on top of that, she believed that he was becoming wayward by the day simply because he was living his life on his own terms instead of blindly obeying and following everything that his parents wanted for him. And yes, it would have been great if he could have followed in his father's footsteps, but at the end of the day, this is his life, and he should have the right to live the way he wants. So they had a fight about that. And she told him that she doesn't want to see him, and so he came back because there was just no point in trying to explain things to her. He was not even disappointed after all this. He was just really annoyed by her behavior, and honestly, I don't blame him. He has tried his best to be there for his mom because she doesn't really have anybody else. She lost her husband, my father-in-law, a couple of years ago, and she doesn't have any other children, which is why it was important for my husband to be there for her. But if she has made it so clear that he's not welcome in her life or in her room, then there's very little that he can do anymore. And it would be one thing if he had actually done anything wrong, but he hasn't, at least not to me. He's just living his life the way he wants. What's so wrong about that? It's not like he's hurting anybody, and he has if she thinks that her feelings getting hurt just because he's not willing to be a puppet is a valid complaint. Then she's totally wrong. Anyway, my point is that at the end of the day, she's only losing contact with her only son. And this is going to be much worse for her than it is going to be for him or for us. She's not punishing us the way she thinks she is. She's punishing herself, and for no reason too. She could have just been a good person, being a decent mother, and she wouldn't be in this position at all. But I guess it is what it is. He has decided that he's not going to pay her any more visits, at least on any future, because as it is, it's just a huge waste of time. She doesn't want to talk to him. She doesn't want to sort anything out. She just wants to play the victim. And we don't have the energy to deal with that kind of thing. We are new parents. I think our energy is better spent with our daughter. And come to think of it, it's funny that all of this started because she was upset that we wouldn't let her see her granddaughter, and now she doesn't even care for her. It's just a bit ironic, at least in my opinion, because if she actually cared, if she didn't just do all of that for drama, then she might have bothered to at least apologize and sort things out, at least for the sake of being able to see her granddaughter. But clearly, that's not a big priority with her. And I already knew that, but even then, I feel like it should be pointed out. But yeah, whatever. She can do whatever she wants, and we're going to do whatever we see fit. Update 5. Hi, so my daughter is turning 1 year old, and we sent out a bunch of invitations for the party because we decided to celebrate it in a way, not for her, but for me. Because it's been 1 year since I became a mother and we wanted to celebrate it. And as you guys might have figured out, my mother-in-law did not like the fact that she did not receive an invitation, even though we haven't spoken since our last interaction. And honestly, it was very silly of her to even expect an invitation after everything she's done without even apologizing to us even once. She's the one who never bothered to reach out to us, never said sorry, never even pretended that she was any worse off without us. So why did she expect an invitation in the first place? Somebody in the family must have told her or something. But anyway, she found out that we were having a big party and she showed up at our house a couple of days ago screaming and shouting about how she was not going to take this kind of insult, and she demanded the respect that she deserved and said that we need to invite her whether we like it or not because she's the head of the family. I told her that this was not going to be possible because she has shown us time and again that she doesn't care about us and she doesn't respect us. And I'm not going to have that kind of thing in my family because I don't know about her, but in my family, my husband and I make the decisions together, and both of us believe that she doesn't deserve a place at the party. So that was that. We had another big fight, and this time she told my husband that she was going to disown him, and she probably thought that it was going to come as a huge blow, but it really didn't. He told her he didn't care, and she left, and that was it. I don't know if she's actually going to do that, but to be very honest, doesn't even make a difference. We are very happy with our lives as it is. We don't want her involvement again because she's clearly not sorry for anything, and that's fine. We are quite happy without her too. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.